And that, let me see. Yeah, you could pull the chair up here, actually. That'll work better. Just pull the chair up, and I'll let you control it from right here. And if I need to change anything, I could just use this pad. But
All right, before we get started, let's pray facing
okay. We're gonna pray facing east.
Barukata Yahuwah Aleinu Malak Haolam. Yahuwah, we give you thanks and we give you all honor, praise, and esteem. We thank you for the Shabbat that is a sign and a covenant between you and Yisrael from generation to generation forever. Help us to keep and guard your Shabbat as you have required. We ask that you would be pleased with us. Help us to live our lives in a way that is pleasing in your sight. Help us to fulfill all your Torah. We ask for your Ruach HaKodesh to lead us into all truth, that we may be light, that we may be salt in the earth, that we may be a delight in your sight, Yahuwah. Yahuwah, teach us your ways and help us to transform our minds, that we would remove the mindset and the strongholds of the enemy, the mindset and the strongholds of this world, and be conformed to your Torah. To you be all esteem, honor, and praise. And you are our Savior, our Elohim, our King, and besides you there is none other. To you be all esteem, honor, and praise. B'Shem Yehusha HaMashiach, Ath-Sham Yehuah, B'Rukabah B'Shem Yehuah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right, so what I'm gonna do, pull up, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it looks pretty good, so I'm sure you guys can see that on there. So in there. So what you want to do? Hey, turn your
This
seat
way?
towards the TV, because that's
Okay.
what you're gonna be controlling it from there. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, Mishpachah. This is Adonyahu Yisrael. And again, we're continuing with instructions in righteousness, investigating the teachings that our Creator Yahuwah has given us in His Torah regarding all things in life. And we talked about before in previous lessons about culture and what culture is, what culture includes, the way that we govern ourselves. The culture includes the way that we do our relationships, our value systems, pretty much every walk of life that is affected by our worldview. So I wanted to really deal on this subject about relationships, marriage, and come at it from a biblical Hebraic viewpoint. Because most of us have grown up in this Western Greco-Roman society, so a lot of our ideas, a lot of our concepts are coming from the West. So when we read the Bible, when we read the Tanakh, when we read the Torah, a lot of times we superimpose a Western mindset upon Hebraic books. So that causes a lot of conflict. It causes a lot of misunderstanding. So what we have to do is no longer be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And no longer be double-minded. A lot of us are still double-minded. Even when we come into this truth, when we come into the identity of being an Israelite or an Hebrew or a Hebrew, we still maintain a lot of the teachings or the ways of the Greeks and the Romans. But we have to be transformed and we have to be renewed in our minds. Okay, so we're going to try to tackle this subject of marriage. What really is marriage according to the Torah? And when we tackle these issues, we have to understand that a lot of the words that we use may not actually be the correct translations or direct translations from the words that are used in Hebrew. So we're going to begin with the understanding of the words husband and wife. All right, if we're going to talk about marriage, usually we're talking about husbands and wives. Okay, so if we look at the etymology or the origin of these words, and anyone can do the research, for example, you can find the origin of words on etymology.com. If you type in husband, you'll get the origin or the original meaning of the word husband. If you type in wife, it will give you the original meaning of the word wife. So I got Mike here, my brother beside me. So if a person comes to you and says that, talks about a husband, what is that connotation? What does the word husband mean to you?
To me, the husband, the man of the house or whatever, husband and wife.
Okay, what makes a man a husband?
They get married.
Okay. All right, and what about a wife? What's a wife?
That's to help me, but I mean not in an American society.
Typically in this society, that's what I'm talking about.
Husband and wife are two people who get married, a male and a female who get married.
Okay. Now, if you look up the etymology, the origin of the word husband, the original meaning of husband is actually master of the house. That's what husband means, master of the house.
Wow.
In English. Now, I'm talking about the English meaning. Okay. I'm not even getting into the Hebrew yet.
Yeah.
The original English meaning of the word husband means master of the house. The original English meaning of wife simply is woman. Right? So, you see, a lot of these words, since we're now in 2017, we bring a lot of connotations that are not actually bound to these words, extra baggage to these words and expectations to these words that, if you look at their actual meaning or their origin, are totally different than the way that we use them today. Okay? And actually, the original meanings of these words, husband, master of the house, and wife being woman, these are very similar, if not, exact to the Hebrew. Okay? Typically, in Hebrew, when you see the word husband translated there in the English, the actual word there in Hebrew is Baal, which means Lord or Master. And for wife, when you see that in the Bible, in the Hebrew, actually, it will be Asha, which literally means woman. Okay. So to understand what actually is marriage, Okay, so Mike, a person says they're married. What does that mean?
When a person is married,
Yeah, what does that mean?
You said your vows and you got married and y'all together. Covenant. You're in a covenant. You together.
Okay.
You know.
All right. So now we need to see what does it mean to be married according to the biblical Hebrew mindset. And when I was researching this, and anyone can do this, you know, you have plenty of tools online and offline that can help you, you know, research, you know, the words and the translations. But in the Hebrew, not in the Greek, they have words that specifically mean marriage. But in the Hebrew, there is, when you look at where it says marry or marriage, or, you know, this person is married to so and so, the word there is not marriage. And I have not found a biblical Hebrew word that directly translates to the word marriage.
Man, as far, so did you say the definition of the word marriage?
No, I haven't said it yet.
I was.
Or in Hebrew, yeah.
No, in English.
In English, well, it's basically what you said. You
know, okay,
yeah,
okay.
Exchange vows, all this kind of stuff. Okay. All right. So let's see what the scriptures actually says, where we see the word marriage or marry or something like that.
So you're looking over there. Okay. There you go.
All right, I'm not seeing the cursor.
Here, over there on the right, near Israel.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so first we're going to look at some of these passages. All right, so first we're going to go to Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 19. Okay, and that will be starting on verse 14. Okay. So we're going to look at these different examples of how these words are used that are actually translated in English as marry or married or marriage. Okay, so Genesis chapter 19 verse 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for Yahuwah will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. Okay, so this is talking about the story about, you know, Lot and his family in Sodom and Gomorrah, and he knows that it's about to be destroyed, so he's trying to get his sons-in-laws out of the city, but they think he's just joking around. Okay, so it says here, which were married to his daughters. Okay, so let's look at this word married. So we go over here. It's Hebrew, is H3947, which is lakach, and means to take. Okay, so to be married is to take. You understand? So we'll get into why the Hebrew is to take. Okay. So we're going to go to another passage where this same word is used. So we're going to go to Numbers.
To take.
Chapter 12. And verse 1. Okay. And Miriam and Aharon spake unto Masha, or Moses, because of the Ethiopian or Cushite woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian or Cushite woman. Okay, so we see in English it says married. So again, all we have to do is go look at the root word, And again, it's the same root word meaning to take.
Okay.
So if we were to translate it literally, it would be Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had taken. Okay, you see? And so, and again, here again, it's again the same word, lachach, which means to take. For he had taken a Cushite woman. So that's literally, if you translated it directly from the Hebrew, is he had taken a Cushite woman.
So when you say taken, it almost sounds like she didn't have a choice.
Well,
we had technical difficulties, and everybody gonna have to bear with us till I get in this other house where I will have a hardwired computer, and this thing will be done differently. It'll definitely be a better. I have it hardwired, and a lot of stuff will change.
Yeah, it sounds aggressive. Take.
All right, let me see if we're back on. Yeah, we're back on. So, and you guys type in if you can hear us on there, because we had a little technical difficulty. So just type in if you could hear us. It looks like everything's back up and good. All right, so. All right, go ahead, Brother Adonai.
okay. So we see that in regards to the master or the husband or the Baal, the word for being married is...
We're good. They said they could hear us, so we're good.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Is to take. Right? So what does it mean to take a woman, or to take, you know, it says, you know, it's talking about to take this woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that actually mean? So we're going to get it from the other perspective, right? We're going to go back to Bereshit or Genesis, and we're going to look at another word that is translated as married or marriage. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 34. Alright, and verse 9. Okay, so this is Genesis chapter 34, verse 9, and it says, "And make you marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and our daughters unto you." So we see the word marriages in English. Okay, this is talking about the episode where Shechem had taken Dinah and basically raped her, and then he fell in love with her and wanted to take her as his own. So they're like, okay, you know, make marriages with us and we'll become one nation, basically. All right, so let's look at this word that's translated in English as marriages. Okay, and that's the H2859, that's kathan, and it means to give a daughter away. To give a daughter away. Okay, so first we looked at lakak, which means to take, and that's from the man or the master's perspective. Now we see to give a daughter away. This is from the father's perspective. Okay, so let's see how again this is used in other places. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7 in verse 3. And this is where Yahuwah is telling us not to mix with other nations. It says, "Neither shall you make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall thou take unto thy son." Okay? So again, when you look at that word marriages, in English, in the Hebrew, is chatan, which means to give a daughter away in marriage. To give a daughter away. Okay? And here, interesting enough, it says, "Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son." So the daughter is being given, nor shall his daughter shall thou take unto thy son. So the son is taking the daughter. Alright, the daughter is given, and the son is taking the woman. You see? Alright? And again, we'll go to the book of Joshua. Chapter 23. Verse 12. Okay. So again, this is Joshua chapter 23, verse 12. "Else if you do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they unto you." So again, this word that's translated as marriages in English, again is chatan, which means to give a daughter away. Okay? So we've seen it from the master or the man's perspective. We've seen it from the father's perspective. Now we're going to see it from the woman's perspective. And we're going to go to Numbers. Chapter 36. Start in verse 3. Okay. Alright, so this is talking about the daughters and saying, "If they be married to any of the sons of other tribes of the children of Israel." So you see married in the English. Alright, but when we look at the Hebrew words that are used, it's haya, which means to be, and then we say isha, which means isha means woman. So it means, and if they be the woman of any of the sons of the tribes of Israel. So it just means to be the woman of, and it's translated as marriage. Okay, and we can see that again in verse 6, verse 11, and verse 12. Okay, so really, what does all this, why are we really getting into this, and what's the nitty-gritty of this? People say that, marriage is a covenant. Well, there is a marriage covenant, but that isn't what marriage actually means. Okay? If you want to, because we talk about having a ketubah, we talk about having a marriage feast or a wedding feast, and all these other things that are attached to this event of a man and woman coming together and making a family. But if you want to strip it down to the bare bones minimum, it is the woman is being given by the father to the man. That is in Hebrew culture what it means to be married.
Now, is there a requirement? Maybe you're going to get into that later.
We'll get into some of the other aspects of this, but the basic bare bones is the woman has been given to the man. Okay. Now, because we're going to get into what actually is fornication. Because there are a lot of people that are calling things marriage that are not marriage. And they're calling things not marriage that actually are marriage. They're calling things fornication that are not fornication. And they're calling things that are not fornication, fornication. Alright, so we got a lot of, confusion going on. For example, you have some people teaching that if a man lays with a woman, that woman is his wife. Alright? That's not true. If the father or whatever authority has not given that woman to that man, they're not married. In fact, that would be considered, that's actually robbery, that's stealing. Because you're taking something that does not belong to you. That's theft. Okay? So we'll get into some of these things, but again, for example, a man and a woman in this country can go to the altar without the father's blessing, without the father's permission. They can get a marriage license and be legally declared married in this culture. But according to the Torah, they are not married if the father does not accept that union. If the father said, no, I don't want you to be with this man, then there's no way for them to get married. So we're talking about in the instance where there is a father there. You know, I mean, there are instances where the woman is an orphan or something like that. But, probably 9 times out of 10, there is a father figure there. Alright? So, you can see how this can get very tricky because it goes against the grain of this society. That people can be legally married in this society, and the father has voiced his condemnation of that union, but they're still seen as being man and woman. And then, in fact, that is fornication. That is fornication. Okay? So, now let's get into some different issues dealing with these things so we can maybe shed some more light on this. Okay. Let's go to Exodus, and we'll just hit a few points. Exodus chapter 22. We'll start in verse 13. And if there are any questions, then let me know.
Now, if it is an acceptable union between the father and the husband, and so does the wife take on her husband's last name, or does she still remain Yasharah?
Well, I mean, last names, I mean...
How does
That's really...
Because that shows possession.
No. I mean, that's really customary.
Okay.
Because, for example, how to say, the woman's last name doesn't really matter. Because the children will have the father's last name, and that's really the point. Okay, it's good. I mean, in this society, to show that she belongs to the man, it's nice to have. But the point of the name is, the last name is showing the lineage.
Okay.
That's really the real point of the last name. So like, you have, for example, Joshua. His name is Yehusha bin Nun. Bin Nun means he's the son of Nun. Right. So of course his son would carry the name bin Yehusha, because his father's name is Yehusha. Joshua is Yehusha in Hebrew, right? So it's really that's more of a tradition, taking the last name and all that kind of stuff. But okay, so we're in Exodus chapter 22. I'm gonna start reading in verse 13. All right, is that the right one? Oh, sorry, that's not verse 16. Sorry. All right. If a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Okay. So this is the law that Yahuwah has instituted in Yisrael. If a man entice a maid is talking about a virgin. Okay? It's not talking about any kind of woman. It's talking about a virgin that is not betrothed. In other words, no other man has claim on her. And lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Okay? And this is where these brothers come with, sex as marriage type doctrine. But they're taking it out of context. Because if you just read in the next verse, if her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Okay? So it's up to the father. If a man lays with a virgin, and the father says, dude, I don't like you, then he doesn't get that woman, but he still has to pay for that bride price of her virginity.
Hey, but real quick, something that needs to be said is like a whole bunch of stuff. Like in today's society, that's like, and they say, they treat women like nothing, and this, that, and the other. And why are they selling her like she's a possession? And they ask all these questions, but you got to think of something. Back in that society, a woman was an asset. Like women today are like a gold chain or something. You spend all this money getting it, and it just sits there and looks good, but it's not doing nothing for you. Like when you get into the Hebraic culture, a woman bought. She was a helpmeet. She cooked your food. She'd help you. She made your life easier. Today, with this Greco-Roman beast society, women are a burden, and they've brainwashed women into thinking that they should be worshipped. It's just Satan. Same thing he did in the garden, So a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around this, and the father pays all the money for the wedding in this society, right? That's how it works, right, Koya? That doesn't the
It's a contribution from both parties.
No, there's a rule. The husband's, the daughter's father is supposed in this society. Yeah.
But
That's what I'm saying. Everything.
do that.
Well, white folks do it.
Well,
Because I hear about them spending $10,000 or whatever.
yeah.
So all that to say, things are turned totally upside down. And like if you watch Oprah, back in those days they treated women like garbage and this, that, and the other. So.
Yeah. Well, one of the ideas behind it is that you didn't have really a time where people didn't work in some capacity.
Right.
For example, if the sons would work out in the field, the girls would work in the house doing house chores. So it wasn't a time where, you know, there was, you know, people just sitting idle.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
So when the father is giving her daughter to a man, he's losing help in his house.
Yes, that's right. That's
You see?
absolutely right.
That's good.
Okay?
Good job, guys.
And the other family is gaining help in their house. You see? So this is more of the
Today
mindset.
they're like, take her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, but here in Exodus 22, it talks about that there's a dowry of virgins. In other words, if a man takes a woman that is a virgin, there's an understanding that he has to pay something for that. Now, whatever they discuss, or between the man and woman, I mean the man and the father, about how much he needs to pay. But if you look at our father Jacob, he worked 7 years. Okay, so think about that.
Actually, twice.
Yeah, for two women, so that's
Yeah.
7 years for each woman, right? So, and both of them, of course, were virgins.
Yeah.
So think about that. Think of, you know, hopefully all of us have jobs or have our businesses. You know, think about 7 years of your labor, whether you're working for someone else or you're working for yourself. 7 years of your labor that you're paying to get a woman.
Wow.
And then you, a lot of these women today, you'll spend the rest of your life trying to pay it all off. The divorce.
Okay, so that's why I say, you know, a ketubah. You know, people say that ketubah is the marriage. The ketubah is not the marriage. The marriage, or really, I mean, if we're going to use the English word, is to be the father giving the man his daughter.
Right.
Now, the reason why a man would want a ketubah is this very exact reason. You know, if you go and you purchase a laptop from the computer store, you don't want to leave the store without having a receipt, right? If you go and you buy a car, you don't want to leave the dealership without having some proof of purchase, right?
Right.
All right. Again, with a house, you don't want to put down money on a house and not have proof that you have ownership of that house.
Right.
Okay. So again, think about 7 years of labor that you're paying for this woman. So of course you want to have something in writing to say, look, this woman is my woman.
Right.
So if she tries to fool around on me, I got papers to prove it, and I'm going to deal with her accordingly. Okay? All right? But the ketubah itself is not what constitutes the marriage. All right? What constitutes the marriage is the woman is being given from the father to the man. Okay? All right, so again, according to our culture, it's expected that a man pay something for a virgin. So you see it today. A lot of Yeshua, a lot of Hebrews are going around getting something for nothing.
Right.
And they use them and they abuse them.
Yep.
But imagine you paid 7 years labor for this woman. You're going to abuse
Right.
that woman?
You're going to fight the keeper too.
That's why it talks about, the jealousy of the husband.
Right.
Right? You paid 7 years of your hard work and you let another man touch her?
Right.
Yeah, it's just a hard. It's hard, and I know how people feel because it's hard to wrap your head around because most men can't even fathom the concept of a woman being an asset to them in this society because they can't, except, for some puss, that's it.
Yeah, and, that's the thing. And so we're going to get to...
well, and the women need to know that they should be thinking that they are supposed to be an asset to the man.
Yeah. Yeah. But they villainize that in this society. Being a woman that does the womanly things. Yeah. They think, oh, you're like Oprah. Oh, what are you back in the Stone Age?
Okay. All right. So we're gonna hit another passage dealing with.
You got to scroll over there.
Okay.
Just scroll it over. That's all you do. So you're there.
Okay. Any questions over there?
Let me see. Let's see.
Go over to Deuteronomy. And go to chapter 22. Start on verse 13. Okay, so there's another thing is, a lot of these, I don't call a Hebrew just because they're in the truth, because Hebrew is not a religion, it's a ethnicity. So all our people, whether they're in the truth or not, they're Hebrew people. They're Hebrew. Okay, so there are a lot of Hebrew or Hebrews that are not doing this correctly. That the father must give his daughter away to a man for that man to have rights to that woman. And when the father gives the daughter away, it's expected that that man house her. Okay? It's not that that woman is still living with her father. So this whole dating scene where teenagers or however old they may be are going out, dating and then coming back to their parents' house.
Right.
That's not our culture. If a woman goes out to a man, she stays with that man. She ain't coming back to the house. Okay? And we'll get on that because it's called prostituting your daughter. Okay? And we'll get to that passage there. But before we get there, I'm going to hit Deuteronomy chapter 22. We're going to start in verse 13.
And just to hit on what you said, I seen, like, when I was in the Air Force and, like, because I don't believe in sending your kids off to college and all that. Because, I seen women lose their minds over the wrong dude and not having understanding. Like I seen this girl literally go crazy. 2 girls go crazy in there. 3 actually. I'm sure if I really think a ton more, but yeah, man. And I've seen a lot of dudes commit suicide over women over my life and in the military. So yeah, man, it's imperative if you don't have your father to pick the man out or whatever and all that, then have your holy father do it by studying this word so you pick the right one.
Yeah.
Well,
and again, it was typical. It wasn't unusual in our society, in our culture, for the man to even choose the woman. It was his parents that chose the woman. Because they had the experience and knew Okay, this is the kind of woman my son needs. Okay, so let's start in verse 13. If any man take a wife, again, he's taking a woman, and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasion of speech against her, bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman. Again, the word is taking, right?
And that's what it says there. Okay, I got you.
Actually, in English, it's actually correct.
And is that the same word that you had pulled up earlier? The H3947?
That's lakap, to take.
Cool.
It's the same word.
Wow.
You see how the same word here is correct, it's literal translation, but in other places it's translated as married.
Yeah. To make it work in the English, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Okay, so this instance where a man has taken a woman, and he is now accusing her of not being a virgin. Okay, that's what maid means, virgin. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. Okay, and the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hates her. So again, the daughter is given.
What's the wife?
That's a shah, or woman.
Oh.
To be his woman, right? Okay. And lo, he has given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not your daughter a maid or a virgin, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. So to explain what's going on the night of the consummation of this relationship, the man and woman would lie on top of a sheet. And when the relationship is consummated, they come together, the blood of her virginity would be upon that sheet. And that sheet would be given to the woman's parents as proof of her virginity. Okay? So they would keep this in case, something like this would come up, and the man would say, oh, well, she wasn't a virgin. And they would have this as proof and say, look, this is proof that she was a virgin.
And if they didn't have any proof, what were the consequences?
Well, we'll see.
Stones.
Right.
Okay, and again, this is in a case where the woman was expected to be a virgin. If the man already knows that she wasn't a virgin before, she was given to him, then of course he can't do anything about that.
Right, if she was widowed or something.
Right. Okay. The elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. So the parents bring this proof of her virginity on the sheet, and the elders see it, then the man should be punished for bringing a false accusation against the woman. And they shall immerse him 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he has brought an evil name upon a virgin of Jezreel. And she shall be his wife, he may not put her away all his days. So if he does this, he's fined money, and now he's not allowed to put her away. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of the father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die. Because she has wrought folly in Jezreel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shall you put away evil from among you. So again, put the whore in her father's house, meaning that she was having sexual relations while she was still living with her parents. That's why, you know, this whole dating scene, your parents know that the daughter is going out and probably
Whoring.
you know, engaging in sexual activities and then coming back home at night. That's not our culture.
Whore.
If she's going out, she stays out with that man. She's not coming back to the house. Okay.
And then it's funny, like when you, and I haven't even went real deep into the sexual culture of the Romans, but it was, I know, like some of the holidays, like Valentine's Day and all that, they just real free with sex and didn't put any restrictions on it.
Right. Yeah, they say hot
And
dog
that's how it is.
Well,
And that's how it is today.
The bed is undefiled.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's how it is today.
right.
Yeah. Because they'll excuse anything except for righteousness. If you're trying to do things righteously, then you're you know, put on blast.
Right.
Okay. If a damsel, okay, so that's about that, and now it's going to a different subject. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lies with her, then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he humbled his neighbor's wife. So you shall put away evil from among you. Okay? So this is a woman being betrothed. So this is a woman who's still a virgin, but a man has a claim on her. So in other words, the man has not come to take her into his house yet, but he still has claim on her. So if another man lie with her, they're in a city, and she doesn't cry out, you know, calling for help.
Right.
That means she was, you know,
She liked it.
she was part of that.
Exactly.
Then both of them are stoned.
Right. She
Okay.
consented to it.
Right.
Right.
But in this society, if you don't technically have marriage papers, then everything's okay. You say, well,
And if you do have marriage papers, everything's okay.
but the you know, people will condemn that, even though they do it anyway.
Yeah, but there's no punishment for it.
Yeah, there's no punishment for it. But you know,
Yeah,
people,
you're right.
girls will say, "Well, I'm not married, but you had 5 kids with the same dude." Yeah, you are married.
You just don't know it yet.
Well, even in the what is it called, the common law?
Yeah.
Yeah. So after so long, you know, the
Yes.
courts give you a
There's, you know, people try to find every excuse to do what they feel like doing.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Land of the free, home of the slaves.
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, so the first one was in the city, now it's in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel you shall do nothing. There is the damsel no sin worthy of death, for as when a man rises against his neighbor and slays him, even so is this matter. So if this thing happens out in the field, then the woman is considered innocent because there's no one around to help her. But if it was in the city and she didn't cry for help, then she gets stoned along with the man. Okay. But this to show you that even a woman having a claim on her is defended even to the death. Even if the man has not taken her into his house to consummate the relationship, he's been promised that woman, or they've made an agreement with that family that woman is considered his property. So if any man touch her, that is the same as...
And you see Yah is big on those covenants, them agreements.
Mm-hmm. That even if they don't have a ketubah, that there are words spoken. And we're supposed to be a people of our words.
Right.
Okay. Alright, so to finish that, the one in the field. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. So explaining why she's spared in that instance. Okay? If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. So this needs to be combined with what we read before. It's the same instance that, he lay with a virgin. Now it's actually naming the price. And we also know from the verse that we read before that if the father doesn't agree, he still has to pay the price, but he doesn't get the woman. Okay? But if the father agrees to give him the daughter, then he's not allowed to put her away. Because he did it in such a way. He raped her, basically. Instead of making an agreement with the father, doing it righteously, then the man is allowed to give a bill of divorce if, things go sour. But in this case, he's not allowed to put her away. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. So,
you see here, you got all types of crazy marriages going on now here. like I saw one where the mother became a man and the daughter became something weird like that. The son became a woman. It was crazy. But you see all types of crazy stuff now. It's a joke.
It's all off chain now. No restraint. But again, 50 shekels of silver, that's real money. And that's not dollar bills. That's not banknotes. That's real money that you have to pay. And if the father doesn't agree, you still got to pay that. All right. So, these brothers that coming up with this doctrine that you lay with a woman and she becomes your wife, you paying 50 shekels equivalent of silver to the father?
You're paying a dowry.
What does that equate to?
Well, go look up what silver's worth. Right now, silver's worth $17 an ounce.
Oh,
so
wow.
you figure maybe a shekel is an ounce? I don't know. And I know gold is like 1,000. It's something insane.
Yeah, we can look that up. We can look that up.
It's hefty.
Yeah, we can find it.
And purposely so, that's a...
Yeah. Again, if you look at the example of Jacob, it was 7 years of labor. Yeah. So I don't know if 50 shekels is the same amount.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a good point. Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe it's 7-year wage,
Alright, okay, so let's go over to, still in Deuteronomy. Let's go to chapter 24. We'll read, starting verse 1. Okay. When a man has taken a wife, so again, taken a wife is a shower woman. So when a man has taken a woman and married her, so let's look at that word married. It's Baal. So Baal means to rule or to be a master. Okay, that's literally what Baal means. So when a man has taken a woman and become her master, okay, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house. Okay, so if he is sending her out of the house, if she does not have a bill of divorcement, she can't go to another man. But, you know, when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife or another man's woman, right? So if she has that bill of divorcement.
So she can be another man. I thought that she was defiled after that. That after divorce, that's it. Like,
that's not.
Nobody else can touch that.
That's not what the Torah teaches.
Now, if you put her away.
If you put her away, that's different. She doesn't have a bill of divorce.
Okay.
That's different. Okay? And if the latter husband, meaning the second husband, hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and gives it in her hand and sends her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former or the first husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled, for that is an abomination before Yahuwah.
I see.
So after the first husband has given her a bill of divorcement, she's free. But if she goes to be with another man, and after that, she whatever situation comes, she's not allowed to come to the first husband again. Okay. So, for example, we're going to use that today. There's a lot of people walking around, messing around with other men's women that don't have a bill of divorcement.
So what do you call that? Is that
That's adultery. All right. So let's see. All right. We talked about the woman must be given to the man by the father, or at least the male relative that has the authority to do so. Okay. The man takes her into his house.
Go sit down and listen.
Now, if anything happened, they break up. If that woman go to another man and that she doesn't have a bill of divorcement, that's adultery. Even if they never got a marriage license, they never went to the church, they never did, that's still adultery. That's why I say that would be fornication. So a lot of things that people don't consider to be fornication actually is fornication. And things that people don't consider, people that consider fornication is not fornication.
And as usual, they got it all twisted. Even where you read that Deuteronomy there, you could see what they did is they changed the wording so it wouldn't sound so harsh according to this Western, our standards over here for, because it says master and all that stuff,
Right.
Yeah. So they changing the meaning of the Hebrew.
And that's what it says in First Peter. He talks about that, how Mother Sarah addressed Abraham, calling her master or Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just part of our culture. It's not to put someone down, or that's our culture. And why would it be a put down, dude, to call a man your master if he's ruling over you and providing for you? Why is that a put down?
But that's the heavy brainwashing we got going on here. That brainwashing heavy.
Or you have these women who are not marrying honorable men.
Mm-hmm.
The men don't work, they don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So.
And then they be like, call me master.
Right.
So we're going to go to Deuteronomy 22, verse 22. There's no questions in the gallery?
Now they were actually talking amongst each other about their relationships and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Okay, and we skipped this one, so we're going to go back to it. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shall you put away evil from Yisrael. So that word married in English again is Baal. Yeah, Baal. So Baal. So, in other words, if a man be found lying with a woman who is mastered by a master, that's literally what it says.
Mastered by a master.
Only.
Okay. I think me and Michael are fighting over the temperature.
You're not obeying your master.
I want it cool when he wants it on.
Okay, and now we're going to hit Leviticus. And we're going to go to something I mentioned a little bit earlier. Chapter 19, 29. Okay. Do not prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness. Okay. So when we looked at before, we talked about the articles of virginity that the parents would have, and that it talks about if it's not found, that she should be stoned because she was being a prostitute in her father's house, right? In other words, she was engaging in sexual activity while she was still living with her father. So again, here is, do not prostitute your daughter. So that means she's still living with the parents. So you should not allow her to engage in sexual activity while she's still living in your house.
She should be living a chaste.
To cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom. Okay. So again, we touched on this a little bit before, this whole dating culture that we have in this America. When a kid is high school, sometimes even younger, parents allow their kids to date, and knowing beforehand that there might be some sexual activity going on. Yeah. And they know the man, they know the boy, they know the family and everything, and they just
or they might not even know the man. Especially with our kids.
Yeah.
Like with us now.
Yeah. Shoot. But you have one young man coming. Yeah. One boy coming by for a month, then the next boy comes around for 2 weeks, and then the next boy comes around for however long. That's prostitution.
And then the baby pops up.
Right.
Okay, that it should be that the father give his daughter to the man, should be some kind of exchange and agreement. That man takes that woman to his dwelling. She no longer lives with the parents, and that woman becomes that man's issue, that man's problem. No longer the problem of the parents. No, but
no, they're blessings.
Yes.
Well, of course, that's what he who finds a wife finds a good thing, and
that's right.
from
That's
Yahuwah.
absolutely right.
Okay, so this
Ain't
is
that right, babe?
Yeah, dude.
so yes. So this whole culture has everything on its ear. So if we're saying that we're returning to the ancient path, that means that everything has to come back to the Torah. We can't be double-minded. You know, Yahusha said we can't serve two masters.
Right.
You know, we read about some weeks ago about what happened in Israel during the time of the Maccabees. How Antiochus the fourth wanted to Hellenize Israel. And some of the Ibrim, some of the Hebrews went along with them. They were like, yeah, let's do it. You know, so we have this double-minded nature, you know, going on where some of us accept that we are Yisrael or Israelites, but we're still hanging on to Western values.
Yeah. Yeah. This is true.
And we're trying to mix and match and trying to find something that's comfortable.
Right.
Well, it's not about being comfortable. You know, if it's comfortable, it's probably wrong.
If it feels good, that means you're not doing it right.
There you go. So, you know, these are issues that we have to return to the ancient path. It says, I mean, what's the first commandment? Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. Yahuwah, your Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. That leaves nothing else. There's no room for anything else.
Yeah.
So if we're going to return to the Torah, set up our families and our communities according to the Torah, it gives us the expectations that we have. And how we should treat our women. And how, again, we talked about this before, an Israelite woman...
How should we treat our women?
Is supposed to be taken care of from cradle to grave. They're
not supposed to be out there going off to college or spring break to, you know, get her education.
Well, now, you don't want her to be educated?
They go to a school here. Do you see you see the type of education they get at these colleges?
Oh, no, I understand that. But what I'm saying,
I've seen it firsthand.
With guidelines and structure.
What Adnahu's saying is a woman is supposed to always have a covering.
Yes.
So if you go off to college and you out there on your own, you don't have a covering.
Right.
So some dude come up and you don't have anybody, you kind of out there. Literally, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've seen them women who came in the Air Force with no covering and they got destroyed mentally.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And now, you done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and now, they got the whole thing out there, the pickup scene, they call it the pickup scene or the date, whatever, but it's this whole thing. These dudes done studied all this stuff and they got it down of how to talk to women and beguile them real good using all these psychological skills, and they got all these terms for doing all these different manipulative techniques and it's good. Like the stuff works. It's like black magic.
How you know?
Before I got in the word, you know, but no, but it works. But what kills it is Yah's word. Like it don't work against a woman who's grounded in the word.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She'll see it from a mile away, cut straight through it. But if it's just a woman out there, you know, yeah, they're gonna get her. So it's dangerous out there. And then you got all the the sexual transmitted diseases, and or she get pregnant, and you know, all types of sin comes out of that. So but yeah, man, so that was a good message. I saw there was a ton of activity on You see all this activity that was on there.
Wow.
He said pickup artist. But yeah, there was, you see all this activity that was going on? So yeah, we appreciate you guys on the chat. You know, and like I said, I'm gonna keep working, you know, to make the show better, to make it go smoother. Just trying new little things. Like I moved the start time to 3 o'clock. You know, we're just playing with different things to make the show more efficient, make it better, make it more informative. I was watching, you know, I read what you guys were talking about on there. So you guys gave me some ideas for what I might be teaching on next week, because a lot of what you guys were talking about on there pertaining to relationships ties in with some of the stuff that I didn't get to this week, but I'm gonna tie it in with, so I you know, it'll be a good lesson next week. And Brother Adonai, who I let him know that there's some stuff I want him to talk about that I've been, you know, just put a request into him. But if you guys have any suggestions for stuff to make the show better or whatever, definitely let me know. And with that said, we're gonna head on out, and you guys, you know, get on the Spiritual Combat group we got there, and have a nice day. Shalom.